Hi Lula ladies! I wanted to pop in real quick and thank everybody for their support for my fundraiser, Bark for Independence, and shopping Lula Roe this weekend with Katie as well as the other consultants who are participating. I'm really thankful to Katie and honored to be her first fundraiser hosted as she begins her Lula Roe business. And thank you to all of the other consultants who have worked so hard on getting this Lula Roe fundraiser going for Bark for Independence. I really appreciate all of you, and your support means a lot. So, this is my first time going live, by the way. I'm not one to be in the spotlight, so that's how much this event means to me and how excited I am to be a part of a Lula Roe event as well. So, I'll tell you a little bit about me and my condition, kind of the day-to-day, how it affects my life, and how my service dog will improve my day-to-day life. What I have is called Hypokalemia Periodic Paralysis with Myoclonus. So that's a bunch of big fancy words, and what it means is that I experience periodic paralysis. Obviously, I'm not paralyzed right now. I feel about 80% normal. And that's the paralysis part. And then the myoclonus is actually convulsions. So HKPP is very rare. And then to throw in the convulsions in there is even more rare. So I guess you could say I'm pretty unique. Lucky me. So whenever I have an episode, I become anywhere from 50 to 90% paralyzed. It affects my legs and arms extremely. My torso convulses a lot, and I'm unable to speak, unable to open my eyes, and my airways at times become paralyzed essentially. So they're not blocked, but I can't move them, I can't swallow, so breathing becomes difficult. And then the convulsions themselves last anywhere from just a couple minutes to 30 minutes. The pain just depends on the severity of that episode. And the paralysis portion lasts a bit longer. Hey Katie, I sometimes have warnings. Sometimes I'll feel really crappy for like 30 minutes before, and so I'll sit down, I'll know it's coming, and just prepare. And other times, I'll get like a 5-second warning. Those are the scary ones depending on what I'm doing. Typically, the 5-second warning ones are whenever I'm not feeling well because of my Lyme disease, or I've been really active that day. I'll kind of be more prepared to look out for it in a sense, so I'll know to rest and not overdo it. So thanks for that question. That's the other thing, guys. If you want to ask a question at all during this live or after, if you're viewing it after I'm done, please feel free to ask questions. I'm completely open book about my disabilities, and of course the service dog process, because I'm so excited about it. So the paralysis lasts for a few hours, at least 3 hours, before I can walk fairly normal again. I'll usually have to lay in bed for an hour or so. After that, I'll walk with a cane. I won't leave the house because any extra exertion just triggers another one typically. And the longest that has lasted is 3 days. So that was a fun time. But I was really sick during that time. That's not typical. Typically, it's just the next day I'll be pretty much okay again. So I'm conscious the whole time. I used to think they were seizures. I actually just got this diagnosis a couple months ago, and I am conscious the whole time. Guess it's kind of bittersweet. I can be aware of what's going on, but I have no way to tell anybody. So if something's wrong, I'm just stuck with myself knowing it. So that's not fun. And now knowing that I actually have hypokalemia rather than just neurological seizures, it actually causes cardiac symptoms. So any episode at any moment could actually be fatal. Thankfully that obviously hasn't gotten to that point. But I won't have any warning. I mean, each episode just comes with its own fun tricks up its sleeves, I guess. And so I have to be aware of it, and I write each episode out as it comes. I have been dealing with this for 8 years, and so I've gotten to know the episodes pretty well. But they still sometimes pull a number on me. So whenever my husband is home, he's absolutely my primary caregiver. Next in line, now that I'm back to my hometown, would be my dad. And they know what to do. They know how to respond. They don't freak out. So my husband will carry me to a safe spot. He lifts my head up so I don't choke, and he restrains my body because the convulsions can get pretty intense sometimes. And they become really painful the more they occur. So he helps me out in that way, but he's not always around. Right now he's actually deployed, so I'm alone. And so I know what to do if they occur, but again, I'm paralyzed, so there's not much I can do. Just because I know what to do doesn't mean I can. And so that's one way my service dog will help me. Absolutely. Hi, Becky. And let's see what else. I did write notes, by the way. Talked about that. So yeah, whenever I'm not experiencing actual paralysis, a day for me, I can do basic things. I can go to the grocery store. A few years ago I couldn't. Oh, thank you, Becky. But I can go to the grocery store and run errands like that, hour, maybe 2 at the most, but then I have to come back and rest. I have to make sure I eat, have to rest for a few hours. I feel extremely lazy. And that's how that goes. And I can typically, hi Marissa, I can typically avoid an episode as long as I do certain things, but I'm young, I'm trying to live life, and so it's hard to always be so restricted. On a day that I'm actually pretty active, on that day, I can typically keep going. If you research HKPP, you'll find that if you are active, you're kind of okay. It's when you stop the activity. So it's kind of weird. And so I can keep going for a day and be really productive, but I will pay for it later. I'll typically wake up in the middle of the night paralyzed, and then the next day I'll be extremely exhausted. I mean, just imagine the most fatigue you've ever felt, a lot of muscle pain, things like that, just like a flu, but on another level. So you can imagine. And so on those days that I'm really active, I have to rest for at least 2 days after. Like I said, I feel absolutely lazy. I'm 27 years old, and yeah, it's not how I would choose to spend my life. So as I mentioned earlier, I've had this for 8 years now, and only recently got diagnosed. But at one time, you know, I can tell what triggers episodes. So at one time I had it really controlled, and I decided to go back to school. I was pursuing gonna get emotional. I was pursuing a career in social work. Eventually, about a year later, I was well enough that I was able to even get a job. So I started working full time, and that to me was the most incredible time in my life, just being a full-time student and working full-time. I know some people hate that, but the fact that I was able to do that meant the world to me. I did that for about a year, and basically it was too much. Hi, Amy. And at that point, I also found out that I had chronic Lyme disease, which was affecting things, and the two just kind of played off of one another. And so I quit my job. I loved my job. And I quit school, unfortunately. And I had to focus on my health. I mean, I became so sick. I was at one point, just back in March, I was stuck in bed for 2 weeks at a time. I was lucky to be able to get up and go to the bathroom because the cardiac symptoms were so bad. And so that's how this is, you know. Some days I'll be how I am today. I'm fine. I'm walking around. I went to lunch. I'm okay. And then other days, nothing's going on at all. So it just varies. And with the Lyme treatment, that's kind of up and down like a roller coaster. So the more intense that gets, the more intense the paralysis and seizures become. Let's see. Let me see my cheat sheets again. So that's the other part of this. This is an invisible illness. Oh, I'm so sorry, Amy. Hey, Trina. So with an invisible illness, I mean, there's a lot out there. This is just one of them. But I don't ask for help. It was incredibly hard for me to start this fundraiser, to even have the idea of a fundraiser. It was pretty scary for me. I've never asked for help with anything legit in my life, aside from my husband. So the majority of the time, what you see today is all people see. I've known people my entire life, and they've never seen anything but how I am today, because I don't let them. If I'm sick enough, I'm not even leaving the house. I'm not leaving bed. But I don't want people to see me that way. I don't want to be thought of as a disabled person. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but just I want to appear strong for myself, and that's just how, I don't know, that's just how I am. So just because I have an invisible illness doesn't mean it hasn't completely changed my life. So, okay, let's get to the fun stuff, the service dog. The service dog process, long process. It's 24 months, and technically I guess I'm 14 weeks into it, because just last week I found out that, hi Sarah, I found out that my dog is from the newest litter. They are all yellow labs. They're 14 weeks old. There's 6 of them. I'm going to post pictures later. And at this point, I have absolutely no idea which one is mine. They're way too young to determine what disability they would be best suited for. But either way, I'm so excited. I'm stalking their Facebook page all the time. That way, whenever they do have me matched with somebody, I'll already feel like I kind of know him or her. Let's see. So the process is 24 months. The dogs right now are going through some strenuous training. They're already getting out in public, running errands with their trainers. They're going to be learning 50 commands by the time they're 6 months old. And I tell everybody I meet, I don't even know 50 commands for a dog. So, you know, to imagine how intelligent they're going to be by 24 months is pretty insane. Let's see, what else are they doing? Sorry, there's a bee that keeps stalking me. Throughout this process, they're going through intense training. It's serious, and I will not know who I will be paired with until about 3 months before graduation. So I still have, you know, a good, I don't know, 20 months, 18 months to go. And that's because they just don't know who will be best suited for somebody with a paralysis and seizure disorder at this time. And at about the year mark, they're all going to go through an exam, and that'll determine if they're suited to be a service dog in general. And if they pass the exam, they continue on training, and that's when they will start training for specific individuals for their needs. And if they don't pass the exam, they're then adopted out. So they're still well taken care of, and I'm sure they're still intelligent dogs with all the training they had. They're just not meant to be a service dog. So it's a pretty strenuous process for all involved. Hi, Kyra. Let's see. So upon graduation, that'll be the exciting time. I'll go down to the organization for a week, and that whole week I'll be training with my dog, and I'll bring him or her back home. The dog will go everywhere with me. I mean, I'm sure y'all are familiar with service dogs everywhere. And it'll help me walk. I mean, I can walk okay, but I have to exert a lot of energy to do it, so my risk of paralysis goes up. So it'll help me walk, and then during an episode, it'll help to restrain me or lay behind my head to lift me up so I don't choke, one or the other. Mainly the restrain me, help to put pressure on my muscles. They actually do trigger point therapy, and so that'll help some of the pain during the episodes. And after the episodes, it'll definitely help me to walk, help me to support myself. just walking around that house afterwards to get some of my medicine or food if I definitely need to eat, things like that is very difficult. So that's insane. The best part, and it's not guaranteed, but it's definitely hoped for, is that it will be able to alert me, especially since the hypokalemia is a drop-in paralysis. So many hearts, guys. Since it's drop-in, or not paralysis, potassium, the dog should be able to sense that in my body way before I can. And so the alert will help me to take precaution before an episode comes along. And then after the episode, if you have one, you actually increase your risk of having another one. You kind of make your body vulnerable, and they build on top of one another. And so with that, my dog will be able to sense if I'm at risk for another one. So when I would typically think that I'm okay to walk to the other room or do something, my dog will know otherwise. So right now, if I get up, back in April, I had 2 seizures, or sorry, I still call them seizures, 2 episodes back to back, and I fell 3 times on my way to the kitchen trying to get some of my medicine, and the whole process took about an hour and a half. Took 3 falls, another seizure on the hardwood floor, and all that to walk about 15 feet. Is pretty insane. So my dog would have never let me out of bed. He or she would have known to stay put and potentially also get my medicine for me. They teach them to retrieve as well. So that whole thing could have been avoided. It's insane to think that that's how my life will be benefited in just 18 months or so from now. Let's see. So as I mentioned, my husband right now is deployed. I mentioned earlier how much he does for me whenever an episode comes on, or just daily life to take some of the pressure off of me. And I'm sure you can see from that how much a dog would give me some independence back in just daily life. And even once he gets back, we're not going to be together, unfortunately. Hi, Jana. So we will eventually, of course, but his career, as a bunch of you military wives or active duty you never know what's going to happen. So yeah, we never know if I'm going to be living alone or not. And we have a long ways to go, and my service dog will be around for a long time. So the benefit is just going to be amazing for me. I can't wait. So the cost to train a service dog, raise a service dog, and train a service dog is average $25,000. It's pretty insane. And most organizations do not charge that full amount to their clients, thankfully, because they also raise donations and have volunteers and do things of the sort to help people out. My organization specifically has a passion for helping people who have kind of fallen through the cracks in the medical field. So as I mentioned, I only just recently got an official diagnosis. And so, I don't know, Amy, you'll have to check and see if the albums are all up. That's up to Katie. I'm not running that. And so, sorry, I lost my train of thought. My organization loves to find people who have fallen through the cracks in the medical field, and so they can do their part. And that was definitely me. I definitely fell through the cracks. So, after 8 years, not having a diagnosis, being called crazy, things like that. And so $25,000. My service dog costs $12,500. So while it's obviously a major break from that amount, it's still a lot. And so $12,000 is a lot. I checked today and I have raised just over $4,000. I was kind of shocked seeing that number, and I feel extremely blessed that I've had that much support so far. And as much support as I have, and as thankful as I am, it's a third of the way there. And while that seems like I'm pretty far in, that also means we have 2/3 of the way to go. So yes, shop away, please. And thank you all. Thank you, Amy. You're sweet. thank you all for supporting Bark for Independence. That's my fundraiser. And I did post a link to that, I think yesterday, if you all want to read more about my story. I have a website posted, things like that. Yeah, stop it, you're too sweet. And so, yeah, thank you. Shop away, as Katie said. The sale goes on all through Sunday, and I believe Katie will still be doing things through September 1st, if I'm correct. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I'm so thankful to have the support of all of these wonderful consultants and the backing of Lula Roe as I go through this journey. So thank you all so much for watching and for your support so far. See you guys later.